peak performance mindset. Look at all. Getting ready to present at the. Getting ready to start the peak performance. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Savvy Sales Lady Live. Thank you for joining me tonight. You could be doing anything, but instead you're joining me to learn a little bit more. Now, as I announced on LinkedIn earlier today, yesterday was my 10-year anniversary as the Savvy Sales Lady coaching firm. I started on September 30th, 2014. And as promised, I said I would share some pictures from my past. And that's what I'm going to do first before we get into the meat of our subject. And that is mediocre disguised as fear. This is a real thing, and I have a story to share with you, as always. So hold on and let me show you the first picture of me when I started my professional selling career. There I am. Yes, you're reading that right. 1978. I was 23 years old at the time. And this is my professional picture to start me on my journey. I had that whole Farrah Fawcett wave going. And I had actually let my hair grow longer that year before I cut it off again. But I've had many different hairstyles, many different colors. I've never shied away from changing my hair, even to this day. And that plays out through my entire life. You know, I was telling my son the other day, he is 32. You don't take life for granted. All right. It goes by in a flash. It really does. Just like my 10-year anniversary seemed like it was yesterday. So let me show you this next photo of me when I began my YouTube channel in 2014 and my very first YouTube video. I am not going to play it for you folks because it's really bad. But this is what I looked like in 2014, my very first YouTube video. Yeah, I kind of went for the platinum look at that time. So, boy, has it been a journey. What I love the most about what I do in my business is helping salespeople like you improve your sales. That's really, really what I love to do. I love coaching. I love training. You know, I love training with the Televerdi Foundation and my other clients. But more than that, I love the people that I meet and the difference that I can make in people's lives. So let's get into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. Mediocre disguised as fear, because it is a real thing, everyone. And let me tell you a story, okay? Well, first, let me start with a quote. Mediocrity just doesn't happen. It's chosen over time through small choices day by day. Mediocrity just doesn't happen. It's chosen over time through small choices day by day. I love that quote because it's so true, especially in selling. So a lot of times, mediocre salespeople are not mediocre all of a sudden. It's chosen day by day to be mediocre and to stay mediocre. And so you may be saying, well, that's crazy. You know, aren't these people paid on commission? Aren't they paid on bonuses? Yes. But here's a real story, because this is a real thing. Sometimes, and I'm not saying all the time, sometimes mediocrity is just a disguise for fear. Maybe you're trying to overcome the fear of selling when you're a new salesperson. But what about the veteran salesperson who's been selling for 25 years and now finds herself or himself over 50? And all of a sudden, ageism becomes a real thing. And that is a real thing, everyone. I've experienced it myself. And so all of a sudden, they start pulling back. And before you know it, these top producers are now mediocre producers. I've been coaching someone about this very same thing. Now, I'm not going to share his real name, but he did give me permission to share his story. So Todd came to me because he was worried that he had lost his edge. He had lost his ability to sell. And he shared with me this long journey of his professional selling career. And when I say this guy was at the top, this man was at the top, selling to Fortune 500 companies and landing huge deals. So what happened, right? What happened? And this is what we're going to go over, everyone. What changed? Shift, start small, keep a success journal, and focus on the big picture. So I'm going to keep this up while I tell you Todd's journey. So the first thing, obviously, I asked him is, what happened? What changed? What caused you to go from the top to somewhere in the lower third of the sales roster? What shift took place in you that changed that? And at first he gave me, which is typical. I'm not judging him for this, but it's typical. Sometimes it's hard to dig down and find out the real reason. But at first he gave me reasons that there was a change in management, the economy. We've all said the same thing. We've all had the same excuses. And I said, well, I understand that that's what you think is the change, but what really changed is how you now view yourself as a sales professional. Was there any major milestones that happened in your life? And he said, yes, he had just turned 50 about 6 months earlier. And I said, did that have any psychological effect on you? And he, kind of got nervous and said, yeah, it actually did. It actually did. I could not believe that I was turning 50. It was one of the hardest birthdays I've ever had. So it wasn't hard for me to see, even though it was hard for him to see, wasn't hard for me to see what was really going on. And that is, he started doubting himself because he's now 50 years old. He's competing with 20-somethings and 30-somethings who are now starting to take the lead while he starts to recede back on the sales team. Doesn't matter with this man that he was an icon at this company. I mean, he was revered. All he could see is life was passing him by, and he couldn't see his value anymore. And so all of a sudden, he started questioning his abilities to sell. Maybe he needed a different edge. Maybe there was some trick or new way of selling out there that he didn't know about. So you see, we start doubting our abilities and thinking, what am I missing? I did a newsletter on this fear of missing out. It's called FOMO, fear of missing out. That's a real thing too. So he started having this fear of missing out in the sales world. What is it that he's missing out on that he doesn't know about that these youngsters know about? So I played a few videos for him to show him, oh, here's what you're missing out on. And I've done YouTube videos about this too. And I asked him, I said, Todd, would you ever sell this way? And he said, no. And I said, so don't think you're missing out, Todd. You're not. This is the worst way to sell that these 20 and 30-year-olds are spouting as the right way to sell. No, you keep doing what you're good at, what you excel at. So we need to, and this is item number 2, shift your mindset now. Shift it back. And we're going to work on this a little bit week by week. So when you're shifting your mindset back, there's a lot of work that I have you do. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to go into it in this video. But you have to start small. Just like someone who is afraid of cold calling, but they have to cold call because that's part of their job. I always coach them to start small too. Just make one phone call today. Just make one cold call. If you survive that, which you will, and you feel like you can make a second cold call, then make a second cold call. Then work your way up every single day until your confidence is higher because your competence in making cold calls are stronger. You see, everybody gets this backwards. You first have to develop your skills, develop your competency in cold calling. And when you develop your competency in cold calling, your confidence automatically rises. You can't help but feeling and sounding confident. Now, when I am training on cold calling with my clients, one of the biggest remarks I get from the people that are learning is, oh my gosh, you sound so professional and confident. When we're role playing, it's like, you know exactly what to say. It's not that, everyone. It's that I've been doing it now for 46 years. I've cold called for 46 years. I'm just not someone who worked at a Fortune 500 company and has 2 years experience and threw out my shingle to be a sales coach. I have 46 years of experience. Why would you listen to these people that have only 2 years of experience and now think that they know everything there is to know about selling? You can look at their YouTube videos and tell they don't have a clue. So it's easy for me because I've been doing it for so long, and my competency level is through the roof. So that's what you have to develop. Now, it won't take you 46 years to do that. Every time you make a cold call, you'll get better and better and better. Every time you go and have a sales conversation, whether through Zoom or through face to face, you'll get better and better and better. And the more you know your prospect, the easier it is to have a conversation with them. Nobody talks about this. It's hard to have a conversation when you can't see the person over the phone. They don't know anything about you. They don't know a thing about your company or product. You've interrupted their day, and now they're supposed to sit and listen to you. It's hard to have a conversation like that. So, the more you know your prospect and the more conversations you have with your prospect, the easier it gets, right? Because you're doing what? You're developing a relationship. They're beginning to trust you more, so they'll tell you more, and you're creating a rapport. Okay. So with Todd, what we did is shift back and started small with little things for him to do everything single day. To He had the competence, he had just lost his confidence. So we needed to start small to build his confidence up again. One of the things that I always recommend over and over again is to keep a success journal. Now, this is a journal that you keep at the end of your day. You're going to debrief yourself on what went right, what went wrong. On the small successes, whether large or small, I want you to write them down. So if you did one cold call today because you're getting back into the groove of it, you want to build your competency. So you made one cold call, that's a success. Write it down. So here's why you want to do this. So when you're like Todd, a veteran who has been selling for 20 some years and now is stuck, he can go back and look at his success journal as evidence that he knows what he's doing. You see, the economy, even though it's lousy, that's not affecting his sales. The new management team is not affecting his sales. The change in the product portfolio isn't affecting his sales. You learn as a salesperson to pivot through all of that. What's affecting his sales is him, is his self-doubt, is him reaching 50 and thinking, is this it? Is this all there is? Am I washed up? I'm not as sharp. All of a sudden, he's telling himself, I'm not as sharp as the younger sales reps, when there is no evidence that he isn't sharp. The evidence shows he's very sharp, and he has been a consistent leader on the team. So everyone has these personal struggles. We all have them. So if you feel like you're in this mediocre stage, maybe it's disguised as fear. So focus on the big picture. The big picture is, what do you want to accomplish this year? Not what does your company want you to accomplish, but what do you want to accomplish this year? Look at the big picture. Now, this is October, right? So we only have the rest of October and 2 more months to kind of tighten up those sales goals. This is a little late, but you can still look at the big picture of what you want to accomplish over the next 3 months. And then next year, actually, I do this in December. In December, I map out my next year. So I'll sit down in December and map out 2025. What do I want to accomplish? And I suggest you do that too. So, look at mediocre. Is it fear? And if it's not fear, then ask yourself the harder question. Why are you satisfied being mediocre? Ouch, right? Why are you satisfied with that? We all get comfortable. I've done it. I've done it in my sales career. We all get complacent. Oh, this is good enough. Good enough is a mindset that you do not want to have. It is very, very difficult to dig yourself out of this is a good enough mindset. It's called a fixed mindset. A growth mindset is looking for possibilities. Now, although Todd thought that he was more in a fixed mindset, that he was stuck, the fact that he reached out to me to get help shows that this man is not fixed. He's in growth. He's searching for answers. And when you're searching for answers, then you're not stuck. You just need guidance. That's all. All right. I love it when people come to me and because they're searching. Back in the day, before coaching was even a thing, I had no one to turn to. Even if I went to the top salesperson on the team that I was at that time, they weren't willing to help me or give me tips or advice or anything because they wanted to keep their edge over all the other people in the team. And 9 times out of, well, actually, I don't remember one time, one sales team I was on where there was another woman. I was the only sales rep in a sea of men. And I don't say that begrudgingly because women actually have the edge in selling. We do. People trust women in a sales position more than they do anything else. So I always use that to my advantage. But it was rare for me to ever get any help or advice. Mentoring wasn't a big thing, and sales coaching was non-existent. So what did I do? I just immersed myself back there in books. I immersed myself in any course that I could take. And we didn't have online courses back then. You had to go in person, and they were very expensive to go for these live events. So when someone comes to me and they're feeling stuck or they need help, that, ladies and gentlemen, that's a growth mindset. And I want you to remember that. Okay. So Todd and I are working together every single week to help him regain his edge. And every week he is better and better. And guess what? He uncovers more issues that are holding him back. That's the beauty of coaching. So when you're a mediocre salesperson and you don't mind being mediocre, then there is nowhere for you to go. Do you understand that? Now, I'm not saying that everybody aspires to be the top salesperson, but boy, when I was in sales, I aspire to be better than the previous year. I do that now. I aspire to be a better sales coach and have better outcomes than I had the year before, better accountability. I'm always looking to grow to the next level. And I hope you do that too. So just examine, are you sitting in mediocrity because you're in fear? Or is it you choose mediocrity? As the quote says, mediocrity just doesn't happen. It's chosen over time through small choices day by day. Let me give you an example of a small choice. And I see this quite often in training and coaching. And that is, well, no, I didn't follow up. I decided I was going to push that back a week. Why? Why would you push it back a week? Well, it just seemed too soon to contact him. When was the last time you contacted him? Well, it was a week ago. Okay, so now you're 2 weeks out before you contact your prospect again. Is that what I'm hearing correctly? Yeah, that's about right. Too long, folks. And there was no surprise when this person told me this. They didn't get the sale. They'd already locked it up with another sales rep earlier that week. You can't let that door stay open. You've got to close it, either move on or close the sale. Okay. Now, I understand some sales has a long tail process. I did in group benefits. It was a year-long process. But believe me, I made sure I tied up all my ends. I kept in contact with the prospects. I made sure that I hand delivered quotes to, the right prospects. I couldn't do it with all the prospects, but I did it with the right prospects. And I did all the little steps in order to close the deals. So this is the thing you've got to think about is if you, let's say that you eliminate one of the steps in your sales process. That's a small choice you made that's going to lead you into mediocrity because you eliminated that one step may cause you to lose that sale. And then the more sales you start to lose, the more you start to retreat back into mediocrity. So I really challenge you, if you're a mediocre sales rep or sales managers that are watching this, if you have someone that's mediocre on your team, you might want to go through these steps with that person to try to really find out why have they settled? Why are they fine with being mediocre? You might want to have that discussion with them and use this outline to help you with that. Something changed. What changed? And then help them make that shift away from mediocrity. And you do that by starting small, by keeping a success journal, and to get them to focus on the big picture, on what they want to accomplish, what they want to achieve. Okay? Well, everyone, I want to thank you for watching and being with me tonight. There I was at the ripe old age of 23. Oh my gosh. Boy, it's like my life went by in a flash, right? And I know what you mean. People that have that are my age or older that are still working. I still work because I love to work. I love helping people. So before we end, remember, stay savvy, and sales is really a journey, not a quick trip around the block. Stay tuned. I have something else to share with you. Bye-bye. If you like the Savvy Sales Lady Live, you're really going to like the Savvy Sales Lady newsletter. It's delivered in your inbox once a week. Why don't you go ahead and subscribe? The link is in the show notes below so you won't miss this upcoming newsletter. I give you one tip to focus on each week to implement immediately into your sales day. Why not sign up and learn just a little bit more?